Namaskar and good evening to all. A very warm welcome to all our viewers. Welcome to our today's evening session of the Virasat Talk program. Today it's our 115th edition of the Distinguished Lecture Series. The topic of our today's evening session is Sun Kings, the Amarna period. And it is my privilege that we have with us our today's distinguished speaker, Dr. Marwa. She has already joined us. Welcome you, ma'am, in our studio. Thank you so much for joining us. And we are also very happy to learn that you are currently part of this, doing some excavation in at your place. And despite being the busy schedule, you have joined us in our today's program. I really feel delighted that our all the participants who have joined us, who are joining us currently, will be very happy to learn more and more about the Egyptian history. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us. This talk show is being organized by Archaeological Exploration and Excavation Department of Heritage Society, Patna. I request our viewers to join our program as soon as possible and share the link of the session to your peers and colleagues so that we may reach out to more and more people in our efforts to conserve and preserve and to promote the rich cultural heritage of different parts of the world. And you may also post comments, feedbacks, queries during the live session in order to talk with our distinguished speaker of our today's evening session. Uh, Today, we have with us Dr. Marwa Soliman. She is an Egyptian assistant professor of Egyptology in Ancient Egyptian Archaeology Department, Faculty of Arts in Mansoura University. She had her PhD in 2015 in arts and specialized in the history of ancient Egypt and Near East, Faculty of Arts, Mansoura University. She did her master's degree in 2008 in arts from Department of History, Egyptology, and Islamic Archaeology History Branch, Faculty of Arts, Alexandria University. She did a bachelor degree in 2001 from the same Mansoura University. She has a passion for studying history, archaeology, ancient heritage. She has published a large number of scientific articles on the ancient history of Egypt. She has also visited worldwide, and she has presented papers in different places. She has been also working on the history of religious tolerance and doctrinal in Bahrain. She is also currently carrying out excavations. I welcome you, ma'am, to our today's program. She will speak on the Amarna period. The Amarna period is a pillar of ancient Egyptian history during the latter half of the 18th dynasty, roughly between the 14th century. Refers to the reign of Amenhotep IV, who changed his name to Akhenaten, and his two successors, Semenkhkare and Tutankhamun, in which the royal sons of the pharaoh and his wife, Queen moved to the Akhenaten, is now known in the modern era as Tel Amarna, the first cultural upheaval in history, where Akhenaten initiated not only new radical changes but also major changes in the Egyptian art that have led to his characterization. Unlike the traditional formality and restraint which had characterized Egyptian royal and elite art for the millennium, Akhenaten used art as a way of emphasizing his intention of doing things differently. So now I will hand over to Madam Speaker, Dr. Pharaoh Soliman. She will be enlightening us on this important period of Egyptian history and the Sun Kings of the Amarna period. Thank you, ma'am, for joining us.
Thank
Uh,
you.
I may now request Dr. Manos to begin the session.
First of all, I'm super grateful for having the Archaeological Exploration and Excavation Department invite me to this talk. I wish I could say nice to see you all, but due to the COVID-19 pandemic, that's all we can have. Though it's my pleasure here today. In this lecture, we will discuss an era known as the Amarna period of ancient Egyptian history. During the later half of the 18th dynasty, roughly 1353 to 1336 BCE, refers to the reigns of Amenhotep IV, who changed his name to Akhenaten, and to his successors, Semenech-Kara and Tutankhamun. Pharaoh Akhenaten ruled for 17 years and died in 1336 to or 1334 BC. He's famous in history for abounding traditional Egyptian polytheism and introducing an early form of monotheistic worship centered on the atom. Akhenaten initiated a new monotheistic form of worship called Anatheism, dedicated to the sun disk Aten. He was the first pharaoh to adopt monotheism. However, it didn't survive as the state religion after his death. Now, raising the question of where did the definition of Amarna period come from? For answering this question, it is required to mention that Akhenaten moved moved the capital of Egypt from the traditional site at Thebes to the city he founded. Akhenaten, which came to be known as Akhenaten, which came to be known as Amarna or also Tel el Amarna. The Amarna period is the most controversial era in the Egyptian history and has been studied, debated, and written about more than any other, and which makes it very insightful and grabbing for researchers to discover. Um, with that being mentioned, the reason behind the greatness of the Amarna era is the greatness of the Amarna era in ancient Egypt is the one pharaoh that has stood out of all the other rulers during the civilization. Over the course of 17-year reign, Akhenaten spearheaded a cultural, religious, and artistic upheaval that rattled the country. Um, Before talking about the Amarna period, introducing Akhenaten is needed. So Akhenaten was a pharaoh of 18th dynasty of the New Kingdom of Egypt. He's also known as Akhenaten or Akhenaten, all which are translated to mean effective for the god Aten. Akhenaten chose this name for himself after his conversion to the cult Aten. Prior to the conversion, he was known as Amenhotep IV or Amenophes IV. Back to his origins, he was the son of Amenhotep III, who ruled roughly from 1386 to 1353 BCE, and his wife Tia. Also, he was a husband of Queen Nefertiti as well, and father of both Tutankhamun by minor wife named Lizikea, and Tutankhamun's wife Ankhis and Amun by Nefertiti. In the first part of this reign, which was about 5 years, he known as Amenhotep IV, during which he followed the policies of his father and the religions of Egypt. However, the 5th year, he initiated a dramatic religious get rid of the thousands of years of tradition and imposing a new world order. After his death, his name was abandoned from the king lists. His images destroyed from the surviving fragments of evidence. Transformation changed his worship from the cult of Amun to the cult of Aten, and for the next 12 years became famous as the heretic king, who established the traditional religious rites of Egypt and instituted the first known monotheistic state religion in the world, The Amarna period is the most controversial era in the Egyptian history. The reasons behind Amenhotep IV or Akhenaten's new cult of Aten have long been debated. The Aten, or the luminous disk of the sun, wasn't a new symbol of divinity, was venerated as early as the Old Kingdom. Perhaps the new cult was a move against the priests of Amun, who were gathering huge revenues from the temple estates and becoming powerful. There are signs that Akhenaten's predecessors were feeling the pressure. Akhenaten confiscated some temple estates in Memphis, Thebes, and elsewhere. It is also significant that Aten was accessible only to Akhenaten with no meditation required for priests. In addition, one theory claims that Akhenaten's wife Nefertiti was a foreigner who wanted to introduce her own monotheistic religion into Egypt and inspired the religious revolution. His reign is known as Amarna period since he moved the capital of Egypt from the traditional site at Thebes to the city he founded, Akhet Aten, which came to be known as Amarna, also Tal al Amarna. Akhet Aten, or the horizon of Aten in the desert, located at the modern site of Tel al Amarna, situated between the ancient Egyptian cities Thebes and Memphis on the east bank of the Nile. Now, moving to the architecture of the Amarna period. So, soon after ascending the throne, Akhenaten, or Amenhotep IV, commissioned the construction of a new temple complex adjacent to the one at Karnak, or modern-day Luxor. This new project, however, was a completely separate entity from the temple to Amun, made clear by the fact that the site was located outside of Karnak's perimeter, named Gimpa Aten, meaning the Aten is found. Amenhotep's new temple complex was unlike any that had come before it. Instead of being compressed of private, closed-in sanctuaries, the open-air courtyards at Gimpa Aten allowed Aten's sunlight to flow directly into the complex. Amarna's multiple palaces were constructed of mud brick and painted with colorful, highly decorative scenes of plants, wildlife, and royal family. These structures included many open courts and columned porticos, as well as large courtyards decorated with colossal stone statues of Akhenaten and Nefertiti. And here is a picture of ruins of the northern palace at Amarna. You can see here. So here also you can see smaller Aten temple at Amarna. When it comes to the art of the Amarna period, the following characteristics Akhenaten chose to depict his reign in a vastly different and unique way from the rulers who came before him. Under Akhenaten's supervision, Egyptian art went through a massive transformation, with centuries of strict convention abandoned in favor of a new, highly stylized artistic approach inspired with divine meaning. As well as a new religion, the royal couple introduced a new art form. The Amarna launched a new kind of art that was revolutionary compared to the previously known and revered art of Egyptian culture.
Sorry to interrupt, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah, your PowerPoint is not visible, ma'am.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
There is a share screen option in the bottom of the screen. Uh, if you click on share screen, a dialog box will open up. You can click on share entire screen option and check the box inside the dialog box, check in which we are visible right now, and
Is
then
it
click on
visible?
share. No, ma'am, right now it is not visible.
Okay. Can you repeat, please? What steps should I do?
There is a share screen option in the bottom of the screen. Click on
Okay.
share screen option. After
Yes.
clicking, a dialog box will open up. In the dialog box, on the top, there are three options: share entire screen, share Google Chrome, and share PowerPoint. You click on share entire screen option,
Okay.
and then inside the dialog box, uh, a small
Um.
box is visible in which we are there. You can click on that. After that, yes, ma'am. Now I think it is coming up. You can directly, yes, ma'am. Now it is okay. You can directly open PowerPoint. Yes, ma'am. Now it is okay.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
you can change it into slideshow format.
Okay. Now.
It is okay, ma'am. You can change
Okay.
into slideshow so that it should zoom up.
Okay. Slideshow.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is it
Yeah,
clear
yeah,
now?
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, yes, ma'am. It is perfectly fine. There is a dialog box in the bottom. You can click on hide option. It will
Okay.
go away.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Perfectly fine.
Okay.
Perfectly fine. Please continue, ma'am.
Okay. I was talking about the characteristics of the art of the Amarna period, and I was saying that this period challenged the norm of Egyptian society, as Akhenaten chose to depict his reign in vastly different and unique way from the rulers who came before him. Before Akhenaten's rise to the throne, Egyptian art was lifeless, focused heavily on preeminence both of the object and the subject. The family image during Amarna period was more relevant than other ancient Egyptian periods. The Amarna family scenes are more intimate than those from the reign of any other pharaoh. The family motive also may have originated with the new religion. It was a way for Akhenaten and his family to set an example of pity to Aten for others in the court. A scene of movement and activity characterizes characterizes the Amarna style during the Amarna period in images. Figures have raised hand with figures overlapping and scenes that are busy and crowded. The human body is portrayed differently with figures always shown in a profile on reliefs. They are slender with exaggerated legs and arms. Um, as we can see here, here are examples of the art in the Amarna period. So, as we can see, an artifact from Akhenaten's reign is recognizable for their unique artistic style. Under Akhenaten's supervision, Egyptian art went through a massive transition with centuries of strict convention, as I said before. So this relief portrait of Akhenaten depicts the pharaoh Akhenaten, the the excessive style at the beginning of the Amarna period is evident with his relief portrait of Akhenaten. We can see here the thin face, heavy, narrow eyelids, slanting eyes, long, hanging chin, long nose, full lips, as well as forwardly curved neck, all of which is characteristic of the early representations of King Akhenaten. The skin folds that run from the side of the nose to the corners of the mouth, also the folds on the neck are typically of the Amarna style. The art has expertly captured the contrast of soft forms against the sharp contours of the face. Here is another example of the Amarna art. Limestone fragment showing a portrait. And here is a Nefertiti bust. Nefertiti bust represents the great royal wife of Egyptian Pharaoh Akhenaten. Egypt's queen during 1370 BC to about 1330 BC. The name Nefertiti means the beautiful one has comes forth as the great royal wife. She was the chief consort of the Egyptian pharaoh Akhenaten of the 18th dynasty of Egypt. The bust served in the workshop of the Thutmosis as a model for artists producing portrait of the queen. Nefertiti is shown as a woman, a tender beauty. The folds under the eyes, we can see the chin and slightly sunken cheeks don't diminish her beauty. Also, we can notice that the bust is made out of limestone, which is covered with modeled gypsum. The eye is inlaid with crystal, and the pupil is attached with black-colored wax. The second eye, inlay, was never completed. The bust was discovered by German archaeologists in 1920 when they excavated the Thutmoses' workshop in Egypt. It's also painted stucco-coated limestone work believed to have been crafted in 1345 BC by sculptor Thutmose because it was found in his workshop in Amarna in Egypt. A house altar depicting after 1 minute. Yes, in this slides, we can see a house altar depicting Akhenaten, Nefertiti, and 3 of their daughters. We can see here Akhenaten with his children and Nefertiti. It is a small shrine still made of limestone. Akhenaten and Nefertiti are shown with as a great royal family. The body forms the body forms are depicted in relief. The overlong proportions, wide hips, thin legs, and the forwardly curved necks are typically of the early Amarna artistic style. Probably used as a home altar. This we can see the other here, yeah. In the other slides, we can see as well. We can see Aten in the center of the the center of the sky. Yes. Here is a small house shrine still made out of limestone, where Akhenaten and Nefertiti with their children also shown with presenting offerings for the god Aten. In this slide, we can notice that one of the masterpieces among the most striking of these pieces are those depicting the king himself, many of which have led Egyptologists to question the state of Pharaoh's health and physical appearance. A prime example comes from Gimba'aten, an enormous full-body statue of Akhenaten, exhibiting some peculiar characteristics. We can see the king's face is long and thin, with slight eyes and large, full lips. His figure is equally strange and out of proportion, with spindly arms, long fingers, a paunch, and feminine hips and breasts. This particular statue is frequently cutting the pharaoh off at the knees, but from other depictions of Akhenaten that have survived, it can be inferred that the pharaoh's legs tapered out from large things to thin calves, ending in elongated feet. Here is another example from the Amarna period. It's an image or a quartz head of a statue which depicts a daughter, one of Akhenaten's daughter, Merit Atun. It's from modern day Egypt. Look, we can find it in State Museum of Egyptian Art, Munich in Germany. Another example, royal couple, Akhenaten and Nefertiti statue. So, here we can talk about the end of the dynasty and the destruction of the city, and the end. The city, I mean, here, Akhenaten. After 17 years on the throne, Pharaoh Akhenaten died in 1336 BCE. He was succeeded by the mysterious Semenech Kara, a short-lived pharaoh. Many Egyptologists believe to have been Nefertiti, who in turn was succeeded by Akhenaten's young son Tutankhaten. Following Akhenaten's death, the Egyptian people were quick to voice their opposition to the heretic king's radical religious reforms, favoring the stability of the old order. Tutankhaten moved the capital back to Memphis and reinstated the worship of Egypt's polytheistic pantheon. We can see here in the slide a picture of royal couple. I think here is Tutankhaten because it is known because of one of his sticks and his wife. Within a few years, Amarna, Akhenaten's glorious horizon of the Aten had been completely abandoned. It is king and queen buried and forgotten. In a further attempt to distance himself from his father's legacy, the boy king changed his name from Tutankhaten, or the living image of Aten, to Tutankhamun, the living image of Amun. His wife and half-sister Ankhen Pa Aten also followed suit, rebranding herself as Ankhen Amun. Her life is Amun. During his reign, Pharaoh Tutankhamun made great strides towards restoring Egypt to its pre-Amarna state, a campaign championed by the subsequent kings Ay and Horemheb, while Amarna-style art continued to be produced during this transitional period, particularly evident in the murals decorating Tutankhamun's burial chamber. Ultimately, artistic tradition prevailed and Egyptian art from 19th dynasty and beyond largely adhered to historical conventions. Sorry. With the death of Pharaoh Hormozeb in 1292 BCE came the end of the 18th dynasty itself. Um, Hormozeb's heir Ramses I would found a new dynastic line, um, hiring Egypt into golden age of military might and economic prosperity in less than 50 years. Nearly every trace of Akhenaten, his controversial reign, and the artistic conventions that defined it had been wiped from existence. Um, this was the end of the lecture. Thank you for the invitation and time, and all questions are welcome.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, Dr. Marwa Soliman, for your very interesting and wonderful presentation on the Amarna period of the ancient Egyptian history. Thank you also for your beautiful slides depicting the minute details of the artistic developments that happened during the course of the Amarna periods. Thank you so much for talking in such a details in a very short time. And It was very interesting to know about how the religious developments took place in this whole period, and the old pharaoh kings, the kingdom, the old kingdom and the new kingdoms, and the pharaoh of both the kingdoms during in the second millennium BCE in the Egyptian history. Whatever was happening was in fact making major changes in the religious history of the region. And how you also said in it talked about how during the period of Akhenaten, uh, um, the religion the henotheistic religion or polytheistic religion was changed into monotheistic religions. And then later on again during the Tutankhamen period, again there was new changes that were seen in the religious mode that were being pursued in the ancient Egyptian history. So Tutankhamen is quite very popular in India as well, and is widely perceived in the movies as well as in the stories, mythical stories, and are also being taught, I think, from in the ninth and 10th standard textbooks. Tutankhamen is also popular along with Cleopatra and the other, say, similar figures in the from the ancient Egyptian history. And the period was also quite hold immense importance because this during this period there were the ancient Egyptian kingdoms received their military glory, and they also it was also possibly a prosperous period in the Amarna period. But the period was also quite controversial, and even the death of the Tutankhamen also seems to be controversial when the mummy was exposed up, and when it was discovered there were different uh, 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 things that were and questions that were coming up. So thank you so much for your very interesting presentations. We are receiving continuously. We are receiving many comments from different participants who joined us today in our evening session of this lecture program, and they have enjoyed. Also and during this COVID situation, in this when the whole world is in the crisis, and we are strongly fighting with this crisis, we have moved to the digital mode. And but still the experience of the lectures seems to be similar to that of physical experience. uh, we have not received many questions for here, possibly also because the topic is something new to the Indian audience. However, there are few. Uh, I have received one question uh, from Priyanka Pandey and others. They want to know a little more about Tutankhamen. Uh,
Yes.
uh, 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 she's asking asking what was possibly the reasons for the death of Tutankhamun. And the discovery of the Tutankhamun itself was raised multiple questions of how it happened. So maybe, ma'am,
Uh,
if you can briefly talk a
yes,
little about.
yes, I can for sure. There is too many different theories about the death of Tutankhamun. Um, there is one theory is saying that he was died because of chariot crash, because he was loving to have races with his chariot, and there is a theory is saying that maybe this is one of his causes to death. Another theory was saying that maybe because he has um, you know like um, they found too many different sticks in his tomb, and he was using them to help him for walking because he has kind of deformation or disease in his leg, so or could be broken, so he couldn't walk properly. And this one reason could be one of the reasons why he died. Also, maybe because he was he, he had some genetic disease because of it was there were a genetic diseases in his dynasty, so maybe one of them uh, a reason for his
Yeah.
death. Yes,
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. I think there is a new museum also coming up very close to the Dead Valley, near to the all the pyramids sections, and possibly this may be the this possibly may be the world's largest museum, as per what I have read in the newspapers sometime. So uh, I think these museums will also uh, give more detail, provide more details to the and will enhance the tourism potential of the region. In fact, uh,
yes.
so mm,
And I think because according to examining the mummy of Tutankhamun, maybe one of the reasons it was like uh, uh,
mm,
there were a pandemic or something like that. So we
mm,
are not sure. We were not there, so we're not sure. But there is,
mm,
too many
mm,
different theories.
mm,
Yes,
mm. Hmm. I think more answers will come up slowly and
yes,
slowly, when
for
more
sure.
research are being carried out in the region.
Yeah,
Also, in the presentation, you highlighted about the artistic changes that were happening up during the whole course of Amarna period, where the long necks were. I think long neck was one of the important feature that also came up in Amarna period. The depictions in art in different visual art images. Uh, so thank you so much, ma'am, for your very wonderful lecture. At the end of this session, let me extend my vote of thanks to everyone present here. I, on behalf of Heritage Society and its large family that includes more than 180,000 active followers from different parts of India and abroad, I would like to express my profound gratitude to our today's distinguished speaker, Dr. Marwa Soliman, ma'am, for joining us today. Despite of being having a very hectic schedule, she presented and enlightened us on a very important period of the old kingdoms of the ancient Egyptian history. And the Indians also relate the ancient Egyptian period with sometime with Indus Valley civilization and possibly the trade connections that might have been prevalent there. So thank you so much, ma'am, for your wonderful talk and presentation. I'm also thankful to all our members, our followers, our Virasat Myth, and the participants, most important, who joined us today in our lecture program and encouraged us with their comments and feedbacks. So thank you, everyone. I also thank Dr. Anantashutosh Dwivedi, organizing secretary of the distinguished lecture program, for continuously organizing lectures. And it is in fact privilege for all the heritage lovers, which during this whole period of corona period. We are being connected with the wider academic world. So thank you so much to everyone. Once again, I thank Dr. Marwa Soliman ma'am for joining us today and for speaking us on the very important history of the Amarna period. Thank you so much, ma'am. I request
It's
all
my
our viewers
pleasure.
to. Hmm.
Thank you
I
so
also
much.
thank you, ma'am. I request all our viewers to stay tuned with Heritage Society. There will be more lectures in coming weeks. So once again, ma'am, thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.